Good, happy Tuesday morning, May 18th, 2021. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Tuesday morning edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. It's time to rise and shine and get this Tuesday off to a good start. So sit back, relax, grab that good cup of coffee, and enjoy this Tuesday morning edition of The Morning Show with Riley King, where we have a little bit of everything for you in this program. So, let's get started right now. First up, New York to lift indoor and outdoor mask rules. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Phone it into Farmers to switch, and you could save an average of $467 on your auto insurance.
Phone it in? Way ahead of you. How do you say the money?
Go ahead, phone it in.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
We're going to begin tonight with the major new developments involving the coronavirus in this country. With that new guidance from the CDC on masks, vaccinated Americans can go without them. Tonight, the state's now following suit, including New York State, starting Wednesday. But not every state has followed suit, and many businesses are still requiring masks too, creating a sort of patchwork in this country, and certainly questions from those who want to take off their masks, those who have been so careful, but who still have questions. So Dr. Jha is standing by to answer those questions tonight. This evening, New York is the latest state to ease mask wearing for those who have been vaccinated. That starts midweek, and many New Yorkers welcome the headline, but as you'll hear in a moment, they're still nervous about it. Governor Andrew Cuomo tonight saying we have to get back to life and living. A growing number of national chains dropping their mask rules, Starbucks, Walmart, Trader Joe's, and Costco among them. But California tonight saying they will keep their mask mandate until June 15th. 22 other states still have some sort of statewide mandate in place, including New Jersey. And the country's largest nurses union tonight blasting the CDC's move, saying it puts frontline workers and vulnerable people at risk. And tonight, the numbers, 157 million people have received at least one dose. That's about 56% of Americans 12 and older now. Again, Dr. Jha tonight standing by to answer your questions about this. But first, the state's making changes and the uncertainty from some still not convinced that this is the right move. ABC's Stephanie Ramos leading us off right here in New York tonight.
In a major move toward reopening, New York State today announcing it will adopt those new CDC guidelines and lift its indoor and outdoor mask rules for vaccinated people.
If you are vaccinated, you are safe. No masks, no social distancing.
Starting Wednesday, when capacity limits are lifted, fully vaccinated New Yorkers and visitors can ditch their masks in most places, except healthcare settings, schools, and on public transportation.
I'm thinking, do all these people really have their vaccines? I don't feel comfortable.
So I guess you guys will continue to keep your mask on?
No question.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It comes as Americans across the country are scrambling to keep up with a confusing new patchwork of rules changing by the day. Retailers say if they drop mask rules, they would have to take customers at their word.
It puts small businesses in the place of having to police people all over again, and you can't tell by looking at somebody that they've been vaccinated.
This bar in Louisville, Kentucky, asking customers for proof of vaccination.
We just would feel a little more comfortable if you're willing to prove that you're vaccinated.
Chains like Starbucks, Walmart, Trader Joe's, and Costco dropping their mask rules, but only in states without mask mandates. Tonight, 23 still have some statewide mask rules. Our Kana Whitworth outside LA, where there's still a mask rule through June 15th.
You feel, though, that the guidelines are not really clear in California as to what's expected.
They're totally confusing. Everybody's confused and everybody's afraid.
And tonight, essential workers and the largest nurses union argue dropping masks indoors could put them and other vulnerable people at risk. Susan Hernandez, who works at a supermarket, has had COVID and fears being exposed again, even though she's been vaccinated.
I am going to continue to wear my mask because I don't want to bring something home to my father who has cancer.
The CDC says after vaccination, the risk of spreading the virus is low.
Yeah, a lot of families are just going to be careful moving forward for the next few weeks, and we can understand that. Stephanie Ramos with us tonight. And Stephanie, we've also reported here on these incentives to boost vaccinations in Ohio, for one, that $1 million lottery to be drawn every week for about 5 weeks or more, the chance of also winning scholarships to state universities, and they're seeing people sign up.
Exactly, David. The governor today saying since Ohio announced that Vax-A-Million incentive and opened eligibility last week to 12 to 15-year-olds, local health departments and pharmacies are seeing many more people signing up to get vaccinated. David.
Stephanie Ramos leading us off tonight. Stephanie, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Wall Street Journal. Border investigated Gates' alleged affair with an employee. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
As of January 1st of this year, it's now in the law that hospitals must publicly post their prices. It's now our right to know and compare hospital prices. It's our health. It's our money to save.
Learning more tonight about those new allegations involving Microsoft founder Bill Gates, just weeks after we learned that he and his wife of 27 years, Melinda Gates, were divorcing. Here's our chief business correspondent, Rebecca Jarvis, tonight.
Tonight, the misconduct accusations against Microsoft founder Bill Gates. Weeks after he and wife Melinda French Gates announced their divorce following 27 years of marriage, the Wall Street Journal reported Gates allegedly engaged in a years-long sexual relationship with a Microsoft engineer that began in 2000. The employee writing a letter about it, which came to the board's attention in 2019 and led to an investigation by an outside law firm. Gates stepping down from the board in March 2020.
It never came to a full board vote. Bill Gates resigned before they finished the investigation.
A Gates spokesperson telling the Journal there was an affair almost 20 years ago which ended amicably, and Bill's decision to transition off the board was in no way related to this matter. A separate report in the New York Times citing 6 unnamed sources who worked with Gates, alleging the tech titan was known for making clumsy approaches to women in and out of the office.
People I talked to generally described him as this kind of like goofy guy who was like, oh, shucks, you want to go out with me?
Gates spokesperson calling the Times report disappointing and full of untruths. The final straw for Melinda, Bill's interactions with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Gates and Epstein met on multiple occasions. When the relationship became public in 2019, she turned to divorce attorneys, according to the Times.
And David, a spokesperson on behalf of Gates, has said previously he regrets those meetings with Epstein. They were an error in judgment. David?
All right, Rebecca Jarvis tonight. Rebecca, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Israel unleashes aerial assault on Gaza Strip. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Darlings, do you want to know the secret to my supermodel brow? My brow, my supermodel brow. It's as easy as fill, butter, and boots. It's brow magic. It's supermodel brow. Shop now at charlottetilbury.com.
We do move on to the other news this Monday night and the other major developing story, the escalating deadly violence between Israel and Hamas, and the news just before we came on the air tonight that President Biden, for the first time, has expressed his support of a ceasefire. He expressed this in a call late today with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Israel, with its deadliest assault in the past 24 hours, first responders in Gaza combing the rubble for survivors, and Hamas with a relentless barrage of rocket fire themselves. One rocket destroying this home some 30 miles from Gaza. ABC's Matt Gutman with late reporting from Tel Aviv tonight.
Tonight, Israel unleashing a ferocious aerial assault, saying it targeted Hamas tunnels in the Gaza Strip. And these terrified children cowering in fear as bombs exploded nearby. Using their bare hands, rescuers clawing through the debris of collapsed buildings, this little girl pulled out alive, encrusted with dust and blood. And beside one of those debris piles was Mohammed Hadidi, wailing in anguish. He said his wife and 5 sons were visiting family at this home when the bombs came. An hour later, in a haze of grief, he was led into this hospital, and there a little miracle awaited. His son Omar, the father tenderly kissing his son, little Omar clutching his father's finger. So far, more than 200 Palestinians killed, nearly half women and children, and more than 1,400 wounded. On the Israeli side, 10 killed and 300 wounded. In Gaza, officials say 7,000 buildings have been damaged or destroyed, leaving nearly 40,000 people homeless. And tonight, Israel also facing international condemnation for this attack, which leveled a building housing the Associated Press and Al Jazeera. Israel says Hamas was operating there, claiming it shared the intel with the U.S. But when Secretary of State Blinken was asked about that today,
I've not seen any information provided.
President Biden, whose administration says it's relying on quiet diplomacy, today calling Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu, saying for the first time publicly he supports a ceasefire. The Israeli military says Hamas has fired more than 3,300 rockets at Israel so far. Today, we were right beneath one of those barrages.
Whoa, getting my flak jacket on, you can see all those booms in the air here. Intense warfare right above us. Let's go. You can hear it right overhead.
The southern Israeli city of Ashkelon targeted more than any other.
Jillian, nice to meet you.
And that's where 9 years ago we met Jillian Daniel. Her family hurrying to that bomb shelter. Today we paid her another visit.
9 years ago, we were sitting right here.
Yeah.
And there were sirens. The rockets came raining down. Has anything changed?
No.
And that's the incredible thing. So glad you went back to revisit some of the families who had lived through this before. And Matt with us from Tel Aviv again tonight. And Matt, as I mentioned there a moment ago, President Biden late today expressing his support for a ceasefire now. We know about 30 senators, including Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, had already called for one. Obviously, the question is, will this make a difference? What are you hearing on the ground?
Sources here in Israel, David, are telling me that at least over the next 48 hours or so, it's very unlikely that we'll see a ceasefire. But the pressure is likely going to mount on Israel to halt those airstrikes as the week progresses. Can't underestimate this diplomatic blitz by the U.S. over the past several days. The U.S. envoy here on the ground, Secretary Blinken, of course, speaking with his counterparts in the Arab world. And as you mentioned, President Biden, for the first time, publicly supporting a ceasefire. David.
Fast-moving developments tonight. Matt Gutman, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Florida Rep. Matt Ely pleads guilty to sex trafficking charges. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Back here at home tonight, and there is news involving Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz tonight. His former associate, Joel Greenberg, pleading guilty now to federal charges, agreeing to cooperate with investigators. That associate now saying he introduced a 17-year-old girl to other adult men who paid her for sex. And what his attorney said when asked today if any elected officials were involved. Rachel Scott on the Hill tonight.
Tonight, this banner flying over the federal courthouse in Orlando, TikTok Matt Gaetz. Inside, the congressman's former friend, Joel Greenberg, pleading guilty to 6 federal crimes, including sex trafficking of a minor, admitting he paid a 17-year-old girl for sex. In his plea deal, Greenberg, a tax collector, claims he introduced the minor to other adult men who engaged in commercial sex acts. Today, reporters asked his lawyer if Congressman Gates is one of those men.
Does my client have information that could hurt an elected official? I guess this is just, must-see television. You'll just have to wait and see.
Greenberg has pledged to cooperate fully with investigators, who have been looking into whether he and Gates offered gifts in cash in exchange for sex.
I am being falsely accused of exchanging money for naughty favors.
The congressman, a close ally of former President Donald Trump, denies he engaged in any illegal conduct. He insists he's being framed by political opponents, saying someone is trying to recategorize my generosity to ex-girlfriends as something more untoward. Gates says, no way, he is resigning.
I'm a canceled man in some corners of the internet. I might be a wanted man by the deep state, but I am a Florida man, and it is good to be home.
In a statement tonight, a spokesperson for Congressman Matt Gaetz questioning the credibility of Joel Greenberg, pointing out that today in court he falsely accused another man of having sex with a minor. Gaetz' team still insisting tonight that he is an innocent man. David?
All right, Rachel, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And we are going to switch gears now, and let's go into the weather. Before we take a look at our radar, let's take a look at some storms. A flash flood emergency causes dozens of water rescues after severe storms slams the south. With more on that, Marcus Moore has more on that report. Let's take a listen to that video.
Tense night of tornado and severe weather warnings here across parts of the region. And this morning, high water has left some roads and neighborhoods cut off. Overnight, a flood emergency in Louisiana after an outbreak of severe weather.
Oh my God. We're definitely not going nowhere.
More than 150 water rescues so far. Firefighters rescuing 20 people in Baton Rouge. More waiting this morning to be pulled from their homes. On Monday, parents were going to extremes to pick up their kids from school, wading through waist-high water.
Obviously, I'll do anything to get to her, to make sure that I can get her home. I have 2 other kids that are stuck in Queen of Heaven.
This dad even kayaking to get his children. Some diners stuck in this restaurant as water rises.
Oh, it ain't stopped raining, so they'll get worse.
The deluge submerging whole neighborhoods, like this one in Lake Charles, where more than a foot of rain fell Monday. Rescuers and volunteers from the Cajun Navy pulling people from nearly 80 homes there. And in nearby Texas, nearly 10 inches of rain leaving residents on edge after 2 tornadoes and severe storms wreaked havoc this weekend. And back here in Texas, we're still not done with the weather as more storms are expected throughout the day today. Robin.
Okay, Marcus.
Okay, and there you go on that video. And Ginger Z is tracking severe storm threat in the south that is leaving millions on alert for dangerous flooding and potential tornadoes. With more on that, let's listen in to Ginger Z right now.
Storms, because people really... Good morning, Robin. Flash flood emergency still on the map this morning, close to Baton Rouge. Warnings, including New Orleans, and a watch from Lawton, Oklahoma to Morgan City, Louisiana, even parts of Mississippi. So if you're anywhere in the green there and you get a warning, don't drive. That's how you survive these types of storms, because people really do get injured and killed when they get in the car. All right, take a look at this video, too, because we saw at least 20 reported tornadoes in the last 24 hours. This one shows you the vortices. You can see those little suction vortices. At one point, it was throwing debris. It was large. It was dangerous. Thankfully, we haven't seen a lot from the injuries there. That was Sterling, Texas. But I also want to share with you that today we could see more tornadoes. Not only just all that heavy rain, the 3 to 5 inches, right? But the tornadoes and damaging wind, anywhere from San Antonio up to Dallas. Good morning, Robin. Flash flood emergency still on the map this morning, close to Baton Rouge. Warnings, including New Orleans.
Okay, that was Ginger Z with that weather report. And now let's take a look at your radar across the United States right now. And here is a look at that radar across the United States for all of you right now. As you can see, we got big rain band all along here. Some rain and a little bit of blue snow here. Some rain over here in Texas, and some rain kind of up in Maine area as well. Otherwise, the rest of the United States is dry and quiet. And that is a look at your weather across the United States for this Tuesday. And take a look at this. In this day in history on May 18th, back in 1920, Pope John Paul II was born and went on to become Pope John II, history's most well-traveled pope and the first non-Italian to hold the position since the 16th century after high school. Very cool indeed. And we are going to switch gears now. And as more and more people become vaccinated and more people are slowly starting to travel more, let's talk about how to travel safely this summer. The importance of masks. Let's talk about that right now. Let's take a listen to this video from CBS News.
As we continue our week-long series, Spring into Summer, we're looking at how to travel safely. The TSA screened 1.8 million passengers yesterday. That's the most in more than 14 months. Let's go to Newark Liberty International Airport in New Jersey. Two of our own experts are inside a United Airlines plane. That's Dr. John LaPook and our senior travel advisor, Peter Greenberg. They're both wearing masks to follow United's policy. Good morning to you both. John, let me start with you. Masks are still required for fully vaccinated passengers on planes. Why is that?
Good morning, Anthony. It's basically to protect people who are either unvaccinated or vaccinated, but for some reason they didn't get an adequate immune response to the vaccine. For example, somebody who's immunocompromised. In that scenario, if you're inside of a plane and people aren't wearing masks, if somebody doesn't wear a mask and they're infected, they pose a danger to other people.
Peter, every state has different restrictions at this point on COVID. So what should you keep in mind as you're traveling?
Well, first thing, you can always go to the CDC's own website to see what each state is doing. But the reality, Anthony, is that very few states have the resources and the staff to enforce those guidelines, let alone monitor them. We're morphing into an honor system where individual personal responsibility and situational awareness is key. So I'm less concerned about flying to a destination right now than I am about the behavior of the people in that destination.
Where would you suggest that people go to look for global travel as far as what each country, continent, state is really requiring or doesn't have open yet? Where do you go to know?
Well, what you look for, of course, is their own websites from their own consulates. They'll give you state-of-the-art, cutting-edge information, but keep in mind it changes almost hourly. Greece opened yesterday, Italy's opening today, France may be opening later this week, and the same thing applies in the rest of the 48 continental U.S.
Well, in order to get there, John, most people have to get on a plane, and people are still very worried about the ventilation. Can you talk about the ventilation, how safe it is? I think many people, by people I mean me, many people need reassurance about the ventilation on the planes. It's still very scary to me.
You know, hi, Gail, you should be reassured. I did a deep dive on this, and ventilation on planes like this is excellent. About half of the air comes from the outside. It's combined with recirculated air. It all goes through HEPA filters that get rid of viruses, other organisms. It comes from the ceiling down to and near the floor. It comes out of vents. If you want a little bit of a trick, you open up the air vent above you, have it flow right on you to help disperse air. But, you know, the air is completely exchanged about every 3 minutes, which is better than in some, you know, medical settings.
It's so funny. First thing I do, John, is turn off the vent because the sound bothers me. And that air blowing down on me is
I don't
annoying.
like the feeling also.
But okay, that's good. Okay, good advice.
Dr. Greenberg, I'd love to ask why Delta is the only airline that is still having an empty middle seat and why other airlines feel that they can proceed at full capacity.
Well, thank you first for calling me Dr. Greenberg. I'm going to hold that against Dr. LaPook later. But the bottom line is Delta is no longer blocking the middle seat. They stopped actually April 30th. And in fact, think about this. I'm standing here only about 3 feet away from Dr. LaPook. That's not 6 feet of separation. Airline cabins and social distancing are mutually exclusive. So right now they're filling every seat on every available plane.
Peter, talk about travel trends that you're seeing, and especially we were all sitting at the table talking about how hard it is and how expensive it is to get a rental car. Talk about the travel trends, please.
Sure. Well, you talk about the rental cars. It's bad. I just guessed on an estimate for a rental car today in Florida. It's $441 a day, and that doesn't include. And that doesn't include the drop-off charges, the mileage caps, and God forbid you have to let them refuel the car. It could be as much as $11 a gallon. So what you need to do is rent a car midweek. Do not rent it at the airport. You'll be able to return it there with no drop-off charge. But on trips of under 500 miles, do yourself a favor. It's BYOC. Bring your own car.
Peter, how crowded is it? Are the airlines expected it's going to be this summer? Are we close to getting back to pre-pandemic levels?
Every one of the planes on every airline is now unparked. They're in the skies. The airlines have added 170 new routes in the United States alone. And in many cases, they're all outdoors destinations close to state and national parks. The one example I'll give you is Bozeman, Montana. They just added 200,000 seats to that airport. It's the fastest growing airport in the United States. Now, do they have 200,000 rooms in Bozeman? They don't. So it may be inexpensive to get there. Watch your wallet as to how expensive it's going to be there.
Dr. LaPook, quickly, John, what's the one thing, the most important thing people should bring when they travel?
Best thing to bring is the knowledge that you've been vaccinated. And on top of that, your common sense, okay? You know, figure out what the risk is in certain areas. So, you know, the potential Achilles heel of the CDC guidelines is you're in an indoor setting, the ventilation's not great, it's crowded, and there are some people there who are not wearing masks. Now, if that person is not wearing masks, potentially they could be infected, not vaccinated, and a potential danger to infect other people. So in that setting, I think especially if you're immunocompromised, if you're at increased risk, you should either try to stay away from those settings or get the best possible masks you can. And I think it's not unreasonable in that setting, if you have to be indoors, to wear an N95 or something equivalent to that.
All right, common sense, always the best weapon. Dr. John LaPook, Peter Greenberg, thank you both.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Good information there. And switching gears now, and let's take a look at this video. The Good Morning America 2021 Summer Concert Series performances revealed. Let's take a look at that list right now. Drum roll.
Time now for the big announcement, our Summer Concert Series. Take it away, Lara.
Thank you, George. This year's concert series is packed with huge stars you will absolutely not want to miss. Take a look at our incredible lineup. This year's GMA Summer Concert Series is going to be lit up like dynamite. Kicking off May 28th with the boys from BTS. Also in the house, BB Rexa. Good morning, America. Chloe Bailey. And get this. We get a glory to you, God. Chance the Rapper. We've also got Shaggy, Sean Paul, and Spice. Then it's DJ D Nice and Neo, followed by G-Eazy. 'Cause I feel like a lady. Then time to kick up your boots with a little Lady A.
Let's do this, America.
Jimmy Allen and Brad Paisley. Oh, did we mention Dierks Bentley and Old Dominion as well? We also welcome Anita, Carol G. And on July 16th, Rock Out with Green Day's Billy Joel Armstrong, Fall Out Boy, and Weezer. And the party doesn't end there. Get ready for our friend, Mr. 305, Pitbull.
Good morning, America.
Then it's time for the Wallflowers, Glass Animals, and Leon Bridges. And we're not done yet. We have Tinashe, Sebastian Yatra, Sophia Carson, and did we mention...
But if you close your eyes...
We're going big with Bastille. Then it's the incomparable Sheryl Crow. And we cannot wait for Maluma. The GMA Summer Concert Series, sponsored by Caesars Rewards. I mean, is that good or what? And we still have a few surprise performances we're not ready to share just yet, but trust me, there are amazing concerts coming your way. You can keep up with our Summer Concert Series and the schedule for it on our website, goodmorningamerica.com. With that, I send it back to you guys in the studio.
That is a packed summer. Monica, our booker, has come through. I mean, crossing all the genres like
Fantastic.
That. Wow.
Looking forward to that.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts.
Very cool. Can't wait for it. The GMA Summer Concert Series. Excited, excited. And switching gears now, let's go into entertainment news. And in entertainment news, Ariana Grande secretly marries Dalton Gomez. Let's take a listen to that video from Entertainment Tonight.
Whether you're taking the back roads or navigating busy city streets,
Ariana Grande has traded in Thank You Next for Thank You Yes. E.T. can confirm the singer officially tied the knot with boyfriend Dalton Gomez over the weekend. A rep for Ariana confirms the news to E.T. and told People magazine that the two celebrated their union in a tiny and intimate wedding ceremony with less than 20 people.
I'm happy. Life is good.
It was also revealed that the wedding was happy and full of love, and that both the couple and the families couldn't be happier.
It was like so crazy.
Ariana and the luxury real estate mogul officially got engaged in December after 9 months of dating, posting a pic of her unique diamond and pearl engagement ring on Instagram.
I feel in love every day.
At the time, a source told ET that their engagement may have happened too fast, saying, quote, "They're very in love right now, but friends think the engagement was somewhat rushed and are skeptical that the relationship will ultimately be short-lived." But another source tells ET that Ariana was definitely more careful this time around, revealing that Ari's highly publicized romances made her cautious when it came to opening up about her personal life, like her previous and very public engagement to Pete Davidson back in 2018.
Even almost got married, and for Pete, I'm so thankful.
Quote, Ariana has had some hesitation being so public about her relationship with Dalton, as she's seen how that has worn on her past relationships.
I'm very sharing, I'm very open, and then I'll be asked about it by you, and I'll be really nervous and weird, but I'm getting there. I'm working on that part. But I think that me being open with my fans and my supporters is a very important thing, because it's life. You know what I mean?
And although the pop star hasn't been as public with her new hubby, now that they've officially tied the knot, maybe we can look forward to more moments like this.
Stuck with you, stuck with you, stuck with you. There's a lot of work that leads up to something like this. And it just sort of happened, and it felt so right. And it's so exciting.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this Tuesday edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. Thank you for joining us for this Tuesday edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. Have a great rest of your Tuesday and a great rest of your day. See you back here later on today with more news coverage. Thank you for watching this Tuesday edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. Goodbye, everyone.